Tam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Nitam Shra Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Purangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Ancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Text 20. Any confirmation? Was 128 for Friday. Yeah. 29. Shall I start on 29? Okay, please pardon me. Here we go. We'll chant the Sanskrit and translation in unison. Vipatuscha sharire me romaharshascha jayate gandhivam samsate hastat kakchaiva paritadhyate. My whole body is trembling and my hair is standing on end. My bow Gandhiva is slipping from my hand. My skin is burning. Text 30. Nacha shaknom yavastathum brahmativa chame manaha nimittani cha pashyami viparitani keshava. I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself, and my mind is reeling. I foresee only evil, pillar of the Keshi demon. Text 31. Na cha shreyo no upashyami hatva svajjanam ahave vakankshe vijayam Krishna nacharajam sukhani cha. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. Text 32 through 35. Kim no rajena govinda kim bhogarjiti tena va yesham arte kangshitam no rajam bhoga sukhani cha. Ime vastitha yudhe pranam stakva dhanani cha acharya pitara putras tathaiva cha pitamahaha matula shura potra shyala sambandhinastata etana hantu ichhami natopi madhusudana api trailokya rajasya heto kimnu mahakrite nitya dhartarashtrana kapiti syajanardana. O Govinda, of what avail to us are kingdoms, happiness, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed in this battlefield? O Madhusudana, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and all relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, then why should I wish to kill them, though I may survive? O maintainer of all creatures, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth. Did you need to speak, bro? You need to speak? Text 36. Papam eva shayedasman hatvaitan atatayinaha tasmanadhavayam hantum bhartarashtrahan swabandhavan sajanam hi katam hatva sukhina syama madhava. Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune? And how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? Text 37 and 38. Yadyapyetena pashanti lobhopahata chetasaha kulakshaya kritam dosham mitradrohe chapatkam katam nagyayam asmabhi papat asman nivartitum kulakshaya kritam dosham prapashyadvir janardana. O Janardana, though these men, overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, with knowledge of the sin, engage in these acts? One more text, text 39. Kula kshaye pranashyanti kula dharma sanatanaha dharme nashte kulam krishnam adharmo devbhatyuta. With the destruction of dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligious practice. So returning to text 29. Chapter 1, text 29. My whole body is trembling, and my hair is standing on end. My bow, Gandiva, is slipping from my hand. My skin is burning. Purport. There are two kinds of trembling of the body, and two kinds of standing of the hair on end. Such phenomena occur either in great spiritual ecstasy or out of great fear under material conditions. There is no fear in transcendental realization. Arjuna's symptoms in this situation are out of material fear, namely loss of life. This is evident from other symptoms also. He became so impatient that his famous bow Gandiva was slipping from his hands. Because his heart was burning within him, he was feeling a burning sensation of the skin. All these are due to a material conception of life. So Arjuna, he was famous for having this bow, Gandiva, and he actually vowed never to drop it. That was something that he was famous for taking vows, which kind of upheld his status as a very powerful kshatriya. Like there's other vows that he took. There was one time in the kingdom, there was a Brahmana, and the Brahmana's children were dying or disappearing. He didn't even know what was happening. Basically, before himself. Now, normally, according to the natural way, which we can all kind of understand, we wouldn't want to see our children die before we do. And actually, that's actually a type of a sinful reaction. So when the society has been polluted by sin, this papa, this adharma, then these things occur. It's stated also that rain should fall in the nighttime. Actually, it's actually a sign of adharma or irreligious practice or sinful reactions when the rain falls in the day. It should fall at night. That's when the natural harmony of the earth is. The plants, they receive the moisture properly, and then the life can go on as normal during the day. And all the plants have the proper moisture. When they rise up in the morning, they also have a type of a waking up, if you notice. And actually, this is also connected. Plants are meant to be plucked for Krishna's pleasure as the sun, after the sun rises, like that. Specifically, Tulsi is very dear to Krishna, so we try to let her rest peacefully. Because when we agitate a plant, when the plant is trying to take rest, we become disturbed. So there's a natural flow to this earth. And when there's irreligious practice, then the flow is disrupted and things happen which normally wouldn't happen. Right? So one of those instances is a child dying before the father. So this Brahmana in the kingdom of Yudhishthira Maharaj, his sons were actually disappearing. And Arjuna took a vow that, he would kill himself. He would say, enter fire. I will enter fire if I cannot save your children. Protect them. What kind of kshatriya am I? Kshatriya is reference to one who protects. One who protects from danger, from harm. So kshatriyas are meant to protect. So he took this vow, and actually it ended up turning out that Mahavishnu was actually doing some transcendental trickery to get the attention of Krishna and Arjuna. So he was taking the children away from the Brahmana, who was particularly, vocal. And it used to be in those days when there was a problem in the society like that, they would go to the king and say, fix this. Something is wrong. Fix this problem. People are going hungry. There's any of these types of symptoms of irreligiosity. It was his fault. And they were ready. And they would hear from all the citizens what is going on. And actually, that's important for our society as well. That in general, the devotees, they feel like they can be heard, and they also have a proper respect also for the leadership, and the leadership has a proper protective attitude or caring for those who are part of the society as well. Prabhupada said, I'm kind of jumping a little bit here and there, but Prabhupada said that sometimes devotees would come and they would simply want to present all the criticisms. This is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong, and that is wrong, and this is wrong. Because he's simply presenting the drain inspector's report. the drain inspector's report. I think I talked about this before, but this really stuck out to me. Maharaj, so when this Dhanavir Goswami was kind of marking this, that there was a, Prabhupada described how there was a, in the British time, or the time of British rule in India, there was actually a writer who came from America and wrote a book about India. And in that book about India, which was taken by the Americans as great literature to describe the current affairs in India, that person had slandered again and again. Oh, this is happening behind the temple doors. The priests are corrupted. This is happening. This is the so-called India. You know? And Gandhi said that is simply the drain inspector's report. What are you going to find down there? Only filth, right? So very nice. You have presented the filthy part. Good. Now let's do something about it, you know? So anyway, that healthy balance has to be there, where care on the part of leadership has to be there, a willingness to humbly present concerns and the state of affairs from one's personal point of view, and that mutuality, that love and respect, trust, love and trust, a society based on love and trust. ISKCON is supposed to be a society based on love and trust, which means we all put Krishna in the center, as Krishna and Prabhu was mentioning. We're throwing pebbles into a lake, and if we all put our pebble in the same place, then the circles are perfectly concentric, harmonious. That means we love Krishna, you know, and we trust that Krishna, those who put Krishna first, he guides them perfectly, right? That he's not separate from this ISKCON movement. He's not separate from this Hare Krishna movement, Krishna's will. Now, our idea is that we have to continue trusting the process, and it only works properly when we actually put Krishna in the center, which is exhibited practically by our actions. How much are we following the instructions from the Mahajans? Mahajano Yenagata Sapanta. If we actually want to achieve the highest goal, we have to learn from the heart. It's stated, the first part of that verse is very beautiful. I'm sorry, I don't know it. But it states that dharma or religion cannot be understood. It's actually like a secret, which is inside of the heart of the pure devotee. So we know that I'm putting Krishna in the center if I'm really following or trying my best to follow the instructions as given by the Prabhupada. So we take Srila Prabhupada as our preeminent Shiksha Guru for the next 10,000 years. This golden age of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada plays a big role in this. And we're seeing that those who are participating in this Sankirtan movement under his blessings and his shelter, they're able to bring thousands and thousands and thousands of people to Krishna consciousness. That's unique potency, purity. That's a unique purity in this world. So, to get on with it, Arjuna was famous for taking vows like this. So he vowed never to drop his bow. So here, when he is actually expressing to Arjuna, he's actually expressing to Krishna, I'm so caught up. I'm so torn up. I'm dropping my bow, Krishna. Krishna knows that he vowed never to drop it, never to back down, never to surrender. So he's actually expressing he's in dire straits. So Krishna can understand when he's talking about dropping his bow. Now, let's move on to the next text, text 30. Okay. Radha Damodar Prabhu?
A question about the purport. About speaking about the difference between like the spiritual symptoms, hair standing on end and tears in a spiritual sense, and then that in a material sense. And sometimes you can see quite often that like people get really attached to something, and then they develop those feelings for that thing. But more on like a transcendental platform, like you have various different religionists who worship God in a particular form, and they are attached to that their conception of God, and they develop deep feelings for that, and a lot of those symptoms come out. Love of God comes out. Just for Christians with Christ, and for Muslims with their conception of God and their teacher Muhammad, and within even Vaishnavism, you have different forms of Krishna that different Vaishnavas worship, Rama, Nrsimha. And with even the impersonalists who consider the God to be Brahman, they're so attached to that conception of God that they also develop similar feelings, for their conception. So I was wondering more on the transcendental platform with all those different variations. Like practically, it seems like those are all very similar exhibitions of love for the same God, just in different forms. So I was going to say, we understand that Krishna is the topmost, the perfect conception of God. So among those, like, I was just wondering, is there a difference between a devotee who's developed those feelings for Christ or Brahman, an impersonal form of God, versus a devotee who's developed those feelings for Krishna? What's the difference?
Yeah. Yeah, we can. It's stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam that, we Gaudiya Vaishnavas specifically, we are accepting Srimad Bhagavatam as the topmost authoritative knowledge. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's stated that, basically it's a non-sectarian movement. It's a non-sectarian conception of religion. That the highest dharma is to actually love God and to serve Him. So if we're actually developing love of God, then that is, to that extent, we have that's the value of our religious practice. And so we're more concerned, really we're more concerned with service rather than the symptoms. Symptoms are there, but in general, like you can see in the Nectar of Devotion, or the summary study of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there's quite a bit of time in which Rupa Goswami spends discussing the symptoms of pure love for Krishna, or the symptoms of ecstatic love, which is on its way to pure love for Krishna. But when you look at it in totality, the amount of time that he spends describing those symptoms is much less. He may say, Prabhupada may describe, standing of hairs on end. This is one example when it was happening, and then move on, right? But then when it comes to this Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada again and again and again and again, and Krishna also, Krishna directly, and then Prabhupada in elaboration, really try to help somebody use their free will to start serving Krishna. So our focus is on bhakti, it's like my service, that's the main thing that we're interested in. And the symptoms, as we heard Maharaj describe, is many devotees, they become a little bit frustrated to exhibit ecstatic symptoms, which may actually prevent them from performing service at a high level, which they would prefer. So service is first, is the highest principle, service to Krishna. It should be unmotivated and uninterrupted. Ahaituki apratiyata. Right? Now, as far as these ecstatic symptoms, there are some persons which are said to be in Brahmananda. They experience some type of a bliss in their love for, or in their association, or their absorption in Brahman. Now, but that love, I use that phrase, but that phrase can't actually be used very very precisely in the case of the Mayavadis or the Brahmanandis or the Brahmavadis. That love, right? Love means it's a two-way street. Love means there's a person. Love means there's service. So when my whole idea is to become Brahman or to merge into Brahman, then there is no love. And it's just that simple. Love means service. Love means personality. Love means individuals. Two individuals love each other. How can I love this table? Because we in our materialistic life we have this English language is filled with impersonalism. Say, oh my gosh, I love ice cream. I love football. I love this tablecloth. I love this part of town. I love this make and model of car. Whatever the heck we love, we don't love at all. We exploit it for my sense gratification, and I say I love it. So in a similar way, what we can understand is that this love of Brahman is actually also not true. If I want to actually become Brahman, right, then there's no such thing as love. There's no service between me and, the objects, right? Now, when it comes to devotional service, what's amazing is that when you use matter in Krishna service, then it becomes spiritualized, and it takes on its spiritual quality. So all the paraphernalia actually becomes transcendental, and it can be said to be an incarnation or an expansion of Lord Balaram. Just like Anantashesh, Lord Balaram takes the form as Anantashesh to be the bed of Lord Vishnu. And similarly, all the paraphernalia in the temple, like the mridanga and all the paraphernalia that we worship the Lord with, is actually transcendental, and they are persons. So then there is a love. I serve these personalities. I serve this, by using them to glorify Krishna, which is their business, like that. So love is a two-way street. So it has to be some personal conception of God there. Now, you mentioned that they may seem to exhibit some similar symptoms, and this is important that many people can get very caught up in all these symptoms, and I think it's even stated sometimes that sometimes the Mayavadis and Brahmavadis and things, that they even do kirtan, and they even seem to be having ecstasy and all these things. But we have to be a little bit wary that the karmis in the club also are getting ecstatic, but their ecstasy is all based on sense gratification. So the symptoms can be misidentified. So it's not our primary like criterion to like judge the value or the of a like a particular practice or a particular spiritualist, because it's a little bit subjective. It's a little bit subjective, you know. And it's just like new bhakta. New bhakta may have a spiritual experience, and he may get standing of the hairs on end, which is called Romaharsha. Romaharshana Sutta is the father of Sutta Goswami, like that. So he's named after this standing of the hairs on end. So anyway, new bhakta may hear some story about Krishna, or he may be in a certain environment and he actually may get some shadow ecstasy. That's why it's important, is shadow ecstasy. So, but to be really experiencing these ecstatic symptoms, one has to be situated on the bhava platform. Otherwise, it's simply a shadow ecstasy. So, that being said, we can say because of association with pure devotees or devotees on the bhava platform or ecstatic platform, then it's possible for neophytes also to experience ecstatic symptoms. And sometimes they do. So we understand from our parampara that Lord Jesus Christ is Vaishya avatar and he is a pure devotee of Krishna. And we also understand that Prophet Muhammad also is a pure devotee. Now, or a Shakti Vaishya avatar. So this is this association with them in surrender, this can lead to experiencing some of their ecstasy. But in general, we have to see how much they're loving God. So I may experience some ecstatic symptoms, or I may feel some, this is a word feeling. I may feel like I love God, but then I go and I kill one of his children with a knife and with a gun, and I cut him up and I put him in my mouth. That's strange. Now, we also do that with vegetables, but we offer those to Krishna, which is authorized and righteous and just. So we have to see is that so-called ecstasy, that fervor, what do they call it? Jesus freak. There's a song, it's like Jesus freak. It's a cool song. That's really nice. To be obsessed with Lord Jesus Christ and be really about him. So I may feel, I love Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And we actually, if the Lord's holy name, Christ, is there, and proper glorification of the Lord's servant is there, that is Sankirtan. That is Sankirtan. And that is a very important process which is happening not only in the Krishna consciousness movement, but all over the planet. And it's righteous, it's just, it's in the Bible, it's in the Psalms, it's all over the Bible to do Sankirtan. The Mohammedans, they're meant to chant the 99 names of Allah. That's righteous, that's right, that's as it should be. So if they're doing it, then they may get some feelings of ecstasy and things, but we don't just judge from that moment. We see how much they're following their acharya's instructions afterwards. Maybe it's a little bit long-winded. Maybe are you satisfied, or shall we discuss more?
Yeah, well, I'm wondering about, because you mentioned something about the Brahmavaris who they have the desire to want to become Brahmin. And yeah, there's no, and you said that love is not there. And that makes total sense. There's also like a category of person, like from what I've seen, just whatever little exposure I've had to these people, there's some personalities who they look like they're engaged in devotional service. Like they're doing basically everything that you see. They're worshiping the Murti, and they have a particular form of God they worship, and they chant the holy names of that God. But they tend to emphasize, and they don't emphasize wanting to become that person, or they don't emphasize wanting to become God, but they emphasize a certain point in the relationship with God, a certain level of attachment where the notions of like the individual and the supreme dissolve. And so you do have a monistic conception. They emphasize a monistic point. But because the soul is always an individual, it's like they're relishing that like relationship with God, and they don't seem to emphasize the wanting to become him. So what it yeah.
Well, they think they already are him. They think they already are him. Now you say different forms of God. Which God? If it's God, it's one person. He's a person and he has a name. His topmost name is Krishna. If they're just worshiping some form of God, it's demigod. They're not worshiping Krishna. They're not worshiping Vishnu.
Well, generally it's the God which is given in their scriptures,
God is a word which is meant for Krishna. This is very important. We agree that God means Krishna. Krishna means God. So whatever God is presented in their scriptures, we don't mind because we take Srimad Bhagavatam. We accept God means Krishna and his forms, his expansions. That's God. All the others are demigods. They have their place. We respect them. But worship, bhajan, is meant for God. It means Krishna and his expansions. This is very important. That's how we take it. That's how we take it. So if they're not doing that, then okay, they have something to learn.
Well, like I'll give a more clear example.
That sounds good.
Yeah. So like with the Sri Sampradaya, or the maybe it's the Rudra Sampradaya, any of the Vallabha Sampradaya. They're Vishishta Dvaita, that's their philosophy. So there's this emphasis on kind of like monism, where it's not like I think that I'm God, but it's like it seems that it's basically you've just developed such an attach that it's only Krishna. There's no conception of it. So you're just like in that deep absorption, and so they emphasize that state, whereas like it's not necessarily like, yes, I think that I am Krishna, but it's just Krishna. And there's some similar other traditions that are like that. Like I used to be into Kashmiri Shaivism before I came to the temple, and they also have a similar conception where it's like I'm not thinking that I am Shiva, but like there comes a point in one's relationship with God, and they even in their shastra they accept the individual soul, and they accept that so in the body there's the individual soul, and there's also the supreme soul. So God is there, two souls in one body, but they emphasize that point in which in the attachment or in the love that you lose all conception, and you're just absorbed in single pointed consciousness of your Lord. So what yeah
That's there. That's there, but we're not there. That's there, but we're not there. If we want to get there, we have to first be, servants. We have to first be, we have to practice Vaidhi Bhakti. When there's a certain point where, we can hear about the Goswamis. What are they doing? They're always merged in Krishna Kirtan. They're always singing Krishna's glories. Satatam Kirtyanto Mam. Krishna says his pure devotees always chant my glories. It means they're always conscious of Krishna, right? They're always conscious of Krishna. And when when the devotees, right, are exhibiting the perfectional state of Mahabhav, right? And these Mahabhagavats, there's this transcendental status where they go mad. And we can understand that the gopis exhibited this one time, and they basically started playing out Krishna's pastimes. And even Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, really, there's nothing there's nothing anywhere except for the holy name. And we hear again and again, even in the Gita, that everything emanates from him. And when you know that everything emanates from Krishna, there's really nothing but him. There's nothing but him because everything comes from him. Everything is in him. So these things are there, but we don't necessarily emphasize or artificially try to jump to a platform of attachment to Krishna, which is the rightful claim of his pure devotees. If I'm still actually addicted to sense gratification, then I have to worship those who are factually situated in that transcendental perfection. But as far as I understand, there is sometimes even the gopis, they still have a sense of self. They say, I'm actually so despicable, you are better. We hear from the acharyas that Radharani, she thinks that all the other devotees are better than her. So she's making a distinction. There's me and my service to Krishna, and then there's those devotees and their service to Krishna, and their service is better than mine. So I don't indulge too much in trying to understand what others are teaching. I'm just more interested in trying to understand what Prabhupada is teaching. And sometimes we can have some analysis, but it's hard to have that. It's hard for me to make any comment on any of these other persons, because I would need to hear more of what Prabhupada has said about their positions. Okay. Prabhu had something. You want to add something first? Okay. Okay, Joseph.
It sounds like what Radha Damodar is describing is actually one of the 5 relationships that one can have with Krishna. Is it what he's describing similar or the same as a passive or neutral state, love of God?
This is interesting. There may be there. Yeah. If we study that part then of the nectar devotion, then maybe we can get some more insight there. Krishna Prabhu.
So I don't know what the Shaivites believe, but as far as you mentioned, everything's coming from Krishna, and this is stated by Lord Brahma in the Brahma Samhita, that Krishna manifests himself as Shiva, which is not different from himself, but just like yogurt and milk. So it's the same, but it's also different. But as far as the three other sampradayas, the Sri Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, and what's the other one? Yeah, the Sampradaya, the four Kumaras. They're all bona fide. They're all teaching that Krishna is the supreme, that Vishnu is the supreme, but their knowledge of the end goal, the intimate exchange between the devotee and the Lord is different. And if one examines the life and teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is really a big part of what he set out to establish, is essentially that Madhurya Ras is the highest form of love of Krishna in the most intimate loving exchanges. And he directly sways some people from their ideology and religious understanding, namely the father of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. His name was Venkatapat. He was of the Sri Sampradaya, South India. They worship Lakshmi Narayan. And Lord Chaitanya established how worship of Krishna and the gopis, namely Radha Krishna, is much higher than that. So it's not that, the monism and, I don't know, the Malshuddha Advaita, all these different philosophies of Ramanujacharya, Nilambarkacharya, Madhvacharya, and so on. It's not that they're wrong, but they might not have the perfect conception. So Lord Chaitanya is coming and he's tying them all together into the Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva to give perfect conception. And like you mentioned, we take the Srimad Bhagavatam as authority, Lord Chaitanya, of the Amla Purana, the spotless Purana. So we can fish around through other scriptures and other philosophies and try to compare, and we can always be very disturbed. But if we simply take what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us and understand, what direction he's presenting things and how he's presenting, then when we look at the other philosophies and other sampradayas, there won't be so much confusion or distraction, because you're crystal clear of, okay, and I this is it. I'm willing to give my life to this. This is the highest goal. But without that, if we're always fishing around and looking here, looking there, it can be disturbing. Not to say that we shouldn't understand the philosophies of the other acharyas. Some people are more philosophically minded and they get into these things. But simply put, my point is, if we just take what Lord Chaitanya gave us, then it's all very simple, you could say. It's all right there. You just have to follow. So, just a few thoughts.
Okay, Jai. Yeah, I just thought of this. If we apply our intelligence to the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there's a verse by Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. We'll be very impressed. And then there's also another prayer which is stated that when we're talking to somebody, we say, "My dear sir, you are very intelligent. You're very learned, great priest, Brahmana, wonderful man of society, full of all good qualities. My dear sir, please forget everything you have learned and simply learn from the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu." And we pay obeisances with a straw in our teeth. So we have a good, we got a lot of good stuff to learn just from,
I just wanted to make one more comment. Even within our own sampradaya, before the advent of Madhavendra Puri, essentially this Madhurya Ras, which I'm speaking, wasn't even established, wasn't known, wasn't practiced, but Madhavendra Puri opened this up, which was, later expanded on by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then, as we know, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he instructed six Goswamis specifically to go to Vrindavan and carry out different tasks. And I don't know specifically who he told to do what, but essentially Rupa Goswami got tasked with elaborating on the whole rasa theology, rasa tattva. And then this is what you were talking when I walked in about, the nectar of devotion, expanding on all these different, moods and everything. So all that's there, but the only reason they were doing this is because Lord Chaitanya instructed them. So the principle of service was there, and then everything was like manifested by following the Lord's instruction. But I just wanted to say how this highest conception that Lord Chaitanya came, it came in a specific order at a specific time, and it's all coming around him. And if we just adhere to him, that's like everything we're looking for is there. And then when you look at other philosophies, it all makes sense because the six Goswamis have expanded upon everything, especially Jiva Goswami's Tattva Sandarbhas. The whole point is to establish Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's like a very large philosophical work, but not so easy to read. And if we just read Prabhupada's books, he's taking all that same knowledge and putting it in his purports. So, Hare Krishna.
Sorry if there's any lack of scholarship or conviction or anything. Thank you, Krishna, for your nice points. Thank you for nice questions. We can read that part about the neutral rasa. That may give some information. Okay, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the summa devotees.